we're going to make our way over into the Titanic Quarter, and we'll spend a bit of time before we drop you off at 11 o'clock or just before for your tour of Titanic. On the left is the Waterfront Hall, one of the biggest conference centres now in Europe. And on the right is our old Crown Court, and it still has its original 5-metre thick blast wall because it was a big target during the Troubles. St George's Market, guys, which again was built back in the 1800s. During the First World War, I believe, this was used as a morgue to keep all the dead people in. It's now a fantastic place to go, guys, at the weekends. And when you're shopping, they play live music as well. This is City Hall. You've probably already seen the City Hall, have you? Yeah. Obviously, this is home to the Lord Mayor of Belfast. It's also where the council offices are. And they actually do a free tour in there during the day. It's pretty good. Pretty nice building inside. So we're going to take a drive up, guys, towards Queen's University. Let you have a look at Queen's University. Okay, just on the left, guys, this beautiful red sandstone building. This is going to be the new George Best Hotel. George Best being one of the best footballers in the world at one stage. And this is where some of you are going to have a little tour later on. The Grand Central Hotel. Beautiful, beautiful place. Especially at the very top. On the left you have the Ulster Hall, and this is home to the Ulster Orchestra, and also they have a lot of different shows in there as well. Coming up on the left is the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation, and this is where a lot of our radio shows come out of. One of the most famous shows in the country, as people would say, is the Nolan Show. And it's all about politics, so that's why it's so popular. People love to get their say in this country. So we're coming onto the Golden Mile, guys, which is the old Dublin Road. A big student area. They say if you come round here on the early hours of a Saturday morning or the early hours of a Sunday morning, it's like watching an episode of The Walking Dead. With the students all trying to get home. So you'll know it's a student area, guys, when you have a pub with a name like Filthy McNasty's, which is just here on the right. This is a pretty good pub on the left as well, the Points. Okay, they play live music every night. And this is where most of the takeaways and restaurants would be, guys, as well. It's pretty popular. Some nightclubs around here also. This is known as Shaftesbury Square, and that's a very nice American style diner, Brookwood Square. Okay, Benedict's on the right, guys. A very nice place to visit, lovely food in there, and they do what's known as beat the clock. Between 5 and 7:30, whatever time you arrive at between those hours is what you pay for your meal. So obviously it's better to arrive at 5 o'clock. So most of the buildings in this area, guys, that you're going to see are owned by Queen's University, okay? They own a lot of buildings, let's just say. So if the university ever goes bankrupt, they just have to sell up and they'll still have plenty of money. It was the most blown up hotel in the world, and it was attacked more than 36 times, guys. And the reason it was attacked so many times is quite simple. During the Troubles, it was the only hotel in Belfast. So any time the world's press were here, okay, any time the world's press stayed in Belfast, guys, they stayed in the Europa Hotel. Who's this? So by blowing up the world's press, you get as much publicity as you want. So it was the only hotel in Belfast at one stage, guys. Today it's now one of the finer hotels in Belfast. It's a really nice place to stay, and it's central to everywhere in the city, so it's pretty good. On the left, guys, you've got Queen's University, okay, which they house around 24,000 students every year, international students. This building in front is called the Lanyon Building, and it was built by a man known as Charles Lanyon. Charles Lanyon was seen as the main designer or architect of the Scottish baronial style buildings here in Belfast. So he built this building, he built the Prince Albert Memorial Clock, he also built and designed Belfast Castle, which is just outside Belfast.
I wanted to add another aside here because I did not realize until I was editing this video almost a year later that I saw so many things built by Charles Lanyon. Every time I'm listening to the video, it's Lanyon this and Lanyon building and Lanyon that. So I just wanted to add a short list of Charles Lanyon's work. So first of all, we're currently in the video at Queen's University, and they even have a building that's called the Lanyon Building. We also, in a previous video, drove up the Antrim Coast Road, and that was where Stuart pretended that the top of the bus was scraped off, if you remember. We also just saw in, I believe, the previous video, the Crumlin Road Prison and Courthouse. We drove over the Queen's Bridge, which I believe is right next to the Big Fish. Later on, we go to Trinity College, and he built a small part of that. And then he kind of built the Prince Albert clock. So the way that that worked is there was a competition to see who would get the contract to build the Prince Albert Memorial Clock. It was originally won by a different firm, like a different architect firm, a different person. But then the firm that Lanyon was part of, which was Lanyon, Lynn, and Lanyon, they gave them the contract, and there was a big outcry because they came in second place. But it ended up that Lanyon, Lynn, and Lanyon ended up working on the Prince Albert clock with the winners. So they kind of built the Prince Albert Memorial Clock. There's also 3 other places that are pretty cool that he worked on. I didn't make it to any of these 3, but there's Frost's Trees, Belfast Castle, and the Palm House Botanic Gardens. And I really wanted to go to the Palm House, but there was not enough time in this trip to do everything that we wanted to do. We were in Belfast for like 2 days, and that was just nowhere near enough time to do everything we wanted to. So anyway, back to the video.
And quite a few other places as well. Queen's University had quite a few famous people going through its doors, guys. You have Seamus Heaney, the poet, attended this university. We had a lot of our politicians, guys, actually attended university as well. Bill Clinton was given a doctorate here. The Reverend Dean Paisley, who was the leader of the DUP, which was the Democratic Unionist Party, big Protestant party. He was also given a doctorate from Queen's University. And it was one of 3 Queen's Universities in the whole of Ireland. Queen's University Belfast, Queen's University Dublin, and Queen's University Cork. Okay, but Queen's University Dublin and Cork were changed. The names were taken, the Queen's name was taken off them, so they're now just the Dublin University and the Cork University. Guys, on the right is the Crown Liquor Saloon again, one of the oldest pubs in Belfast, owned by the National Trust. And it was owned, believe it or not, by
there was our hotel.
One was Catholic and one was Protestant. And the funny story is that whenever the Protestant husband was away on business, out of spite, she went and got someone to put in the mosaic floor the shape of the Queen's crown. So as people were walking in, they were walking over the Queen's crown, basically. So that was just a bit of spiteful fun. This is the Grand Opera House, guys, based on an Indian theme. Okay, beautiful, beautiful inside. very, very busy, especially around the weekends, and also at Christmas time when the Christmas pantos are on, very busy. On the right hand side is the headquarters for the Presbyterian Church, and again designed and built by Charles Lanyon. On the left hand side is the Royal Academical Institute, or INST as we call it. One of our sort of upper class schools, guys. And a certain person that attended this school, who went on to become one of the head surgeons in the Royal Victoria Hospital, his name was Frank Pantridge, and he was the inventor of the portable heart defibrillator, which saved a lot of lives. Okay, so guys, we're going to head over into the east of the city now, East Belfast, and we'll be taking a little drive around the Titanic Quarter, show you some places of interest. So guys, we're going to go over into what was known as the shipyard, okay? At one stage being the biggest shipyard in the world, okay? It was called Harland the Wolff, and you will see the large letters on the side of the two large yellow cranes, the cranes being known as Samson and Goliath. You'll see the letters H and W, which means Harland the Wolff, but most people that come here for the first time think that that means hello and welcome, but it doesn't. This is obviously where the Titanic was built and launched, guys. Not in Southampton as the film portrays. It was built in Belfast. Personally, I don't understand why there is so much hype over the Titanic. After all, it's sunk on its maiden voyage. They say it was the iceberg's fault. Okay, but the men, believe it or not, who built the Titanic here in Belfast, they would argue it was fine when it left here. Give it to an English captain and a Scottish designer and they'll sing it for you. Okay, the shipyard guys, believe it or not, at one stage employed, between the shipyard and Short Brothers, they employed around 45,000 people. Okay, today there's no more than 200 people working in the shipyard. All they do now is refurbish ships. They also refit the oil platforms, and they build the big mega wind turbines for the renewable energy as well. This building in front is the tallest building in Ireland at the moment. This is known as the Obel Tower, and it is apartments. You can hire those apartments out and stay in them. What a view you have from the top. You then have the Odyssey Pavilion, or the SSE Arena, which is home to a very successful ice hockey team called the Belfast Giants. And the reason that they're so successful is quite simple. They're all Canadian. We don't have any ice hockey players here in Northern Ireland. But they're doing very well, guys. They won the British League or something like that recently in Wales. So they've done pretty well. It's also very good, guys, in the sense of cinemas. Okay, they have one of these new 4D or 5D IMAX cinemas, where instead of sitting in a seat, you lie in a seat, and the projection is on the roof, and it's you think you can really grab everything. It's great, and lots of pubs and things in there as well. So this is known as Titanic Quarter. Belfast is in 4 quarters: Titanic Quarter, Cathedral Quarter, Queen's Quarter, and the Gaeltacht Quarter, which is in West Belfast. That's Gaelic. I don't know what it means because I don't speak Gaelic. So again, you'll see the 2 large yellow cranes, guys. They're pretty big, but they were not used for building the Titanic. They weren't there at that stage. On the left, you're going to see it later on, as the SS Nomadic, which was a tender ship for the Titanic in Cherbourg, because Titanic was too big to get into the harbour. They used that as a transfer ship. But that's all I'm going to tell you.